Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something I think we can all relate to, failure.
Yeah, failure, right. It's something we all encounter at some point.
But the cool thing is, and the reason we're doing this deep dive, is because our source material, this text called pasted text, actually presents failure in a whole new light.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It argues that failure isn't the end of the road.
Exactly. And instead of this, negative thing, we should actually see it as, well, kind of the secret ingredient to success.
Kind of flips the script, doesn't it?
For sure. So to kick things off, pasted text hits us with a pretty bold statement right off the bat. Every failure is a lesson in disguise. But how do we, actually unmask that lesson? How can we make sure a failure isn't just, a full stop, but a stepping stone? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's not just about recognizing that, yeah, okay, you failed. It's about really taking that failure apart and examining it. It's kind of like a detective at a crime scene.
I like that, a detective at a crime scene.
Yeah, so you ask yourself, what was I expecting to happen? What did I actually do that led to this outcome? And this is the big one. What could I have done differently? And by asking yourself these questions, you start to see the failure not as like, oh man, I messed up, but more as, okay, this is valuable data.
That's a really good point. So instead of getting stuck in the, blame game, we put on our detective hats and actually learn from the crime scene of our failure. Makes a lot of sense. But pasted text doesn't stop there. It goes on to say that the ones who succeed aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who never quit. What do you think, the key takeaway is from that idea?
Oh, I think that idea is all about persistence. Picture a baby learning to walk. They stumble, they fall, but they always get back up. They don't see those falls as defeats, right? They just see them as part of the process.
Totally. It's like falling is just part of learning to walk.
Exactly. And that's the mindset we need to try to have because success is usually full of trial and error. And knowing that setbacks are just part of that journey, that's super important.
Yeah, that baby analogy is perfect. It's not that they're giving up on walking, they're just figuring out how to do it better each time they fall. But how do we actually do that? How do we cultivate that kind of persistence, especially when we're dealing with these bigger, more complex failures? It can be really tough.
One thing that can really help is reframing how you talk to yourself. So, like when something doesn't go your way, instead of saying, I'm such a failure, try saying, okay, this didn't work out like I thought it would, so what can I learn from it? And that little change in how you're thinking about it can make a really big difference in how you feel.
So it's about changing the story we're telling ourselves in our heads. We're taking that negative, I'm a failure, and flipping it into, all right, what can I learn from this? That's a great takeaway.
Right. And it's about moving away from a fixed mindset, where you think your abilities are just set and moving towards a growth mindset. And with a growth mindset, you see those challenges as opportunities to learn new things and grow your abilities.
It's almost like pasted text is giving us a roadmap. Don't just recognize the failure, really dig into it, learn from it, and then keep going. We're combining that detective work with that, relentless spirit of a toddler learning to walk.
Exactly. And, as we wrap up our deep dive here, maybe think about a time when you experienced a failure, one that, looking back, taught you something valuable, or maybe even led you down a better path. How did you react at the time? What did you take away from it? I think by thinking about our own experiences, it helps to make these insights from today's deep dive even more concrete.
It's all about applying this stuff to our own lives, right? Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.